Guess what today is, bitches? It's ONYX STORM release day. Yes, we are here. Don't be surprised. I am so excited, but also fucking terrified. I don't know when it's coming to me, the book. It said that it's arriving today. I have been hanging on, but I can't read it anyway when I get it because I'm working. However, let's just do a recap quickly. Not about what these books are about, but mostly my feelings towards them, okay? So, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I fucking ate that shit up. Won't lie. I sound really Aussie when I swear, sorry. I won't lie, I ate it up. Like, gobbled it down, okay? I went in for seconds, you know? It was so dramatic and ridiculous and exactly what I wanted. Does that make sense? For some reason, Rebecca Yarros just gets it. She gets it, and I am not going to question how she gets it, but she does. Iron Flame, all I remember is Violet being a dumb bitch, because let's be honest, this is a safe space. I love Violet. I love these books. I love Xaden. I love all the characters. They're an incredible cast of characters. I just love this world. I love the dragons. It's great. Does the world make sense? Absolutely not. And I've spoken about this in other places. But what makes me so fucking like die of laughter is everyone talks about how intelligent Violet is. Like, oh my God, she's so smart. But all she does is act like a dumb bitch. All she does is be an idiot. That's basically her character. She is a stupid woman. And Iron Flame, for me, all I remember is her being so fucking stupid. Because just everything didn't make sense from her perspective. Oh my God, like, why didn't Xaden tell me that he was, like, in charge of, like, a resistance? It's like, babe, who the fuck is your mother? That's stupid. That could have been in Fourth Wing also. I think that was in Fourth Wing and not Iron Flame. But for me, what characterized reading Iron Flame was just being so annoyed at Violet, just constantly. But I really enjoyed the expanding of the world. I really fucking love the dragons. I want more dragons. Am I dreading the miscommunication between Xaden and Violet? Possibly. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. But I am fully aware. I'm 30 years old. I am relatively intelligent sometimes. Very aware of these books and how divisive they are. But I love them because they make me have fun. And the best way to read these books with people, you have to read them with people. So yeah, reading Iron Flame with Hannah last year. Was it last year or the year before? The year before was literally like, it's like one of my most precious memories. We had so much fun. But yeah, so I'm very excited to see what ONYX STORM brings. I haven't looked at the blurb in a very long time, and I won't. We know how Iron Flame ended, okay? And this will be spoiler. This will be a spoiler-filled vlog, okay? The book should be here today. I was hoping the audiobook would come out, but it's not on Everand, and Audible still says pre-order with 1 credit. It's out. Unless the Audible website goes by what the American 21st of January would be, which would be out tomorrow. Does that make sense? But it shouldn't be, because I know friends of mine who have the Kindle ebook right now. So how does that make sense? But I would like to have the audiobook as well. I really don't want to do Audible, but if that's like the only place that I can get it, I'll have to bite the fucking bullet. I have put the audiobook on hold at my library, even though my library doesn't have it yet. but I'm hoping when it comes in, they immediately release the audiobook. I just would like to have the audiobook so that when I'm doing stupid admin tasks today, I can just listen to it. But I'm worried that the audiobook won't come out till tomorrow or until like a bit later today. Oh my God, I'm so excited and I'm so terrified. Are we ready? I think we're ready. When I get the book, I will unbox it live for you. It's gonna be a journey, a very chaotic journey. It just came. I didn't unbox it because I unboxed it on a voice note with Hannah. She's thinner than anticipated. She's only 527 pages, which I don't know why it's surprising to me, but it's surprising to me. I forgot how small the writing is. I'm gonna start this at lunchtime. It is now 10:30, so we have a couple hours, but this is amazing. I don't think you understand how freaking hot it is right now. That's why I'm sweating. My hair is up like this. I just showered, but it's so fucking hot. Anyway, look at me. Oh my God. Anyway, the day is finally over. I had a randomly busy day. Just a lot of things that have been marked off my to-do list. And it was just things that take a long time to do. So, are you gonna, no, I thought you could stay there. Yeah, this is a fine angle, right? Totally. So I've finally been able to sit and read a little bit of ONYX STORM, which is the point of this entire fucking video. I'm on page 28. Okay, first things first. I'm actually really happy about my plan, because I just didn't have time to not reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And I say this because I know, we all know, that someone in the main squad is either going to die, or many someones are going to die, and or there's going to be some sort of betrayal, right? Like, that's what we're kind of expecting. I'm happy that I didn't reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, because it's not going to hurt as much. If I reread those two books, I would have gotten back in to all the feels and like the friendship even more so, like invested in it and committed to it even more so than I'm gonna be when I read this. So happy about that. It's still gonna hurt, but I don't think I'm gonna be like sobbing in the corner of my room kind of hurt, because I've already cried in January because of Mistborn. I don't need to cry again. I don't need to cry again. Look, I'm sweating. Oh my God. It's so hot. Okay, so the first 28 pages. Y'all, I forgot how fucking sexy Xaden is. Yes, this is just me gonna be thirsting after Xaden. Get over it. I love him. I love him. He's just... I know what he says is corny, right? And kind of ridiculous. But oh my God, I love him. I love when this scene on page 20, when where are they? Yeah. So the Venin are in Basgiath, however you pronounce it, and they're trying to get Barlow from the prison, dungeon, whatever. And Violet is down there like fighting everyone. And Xaden comes in to save the day. And I'm gonna read it out to you. Oh wait, no. I'll read the sentence beforehand. His eyes flare in confusion for all of a millisecond before shadows explode around us, immediately devouring every speck of light in a sea of endless black I instantly recognize as home. A band of darkness wraps around my hips and yanks me backward, then brushes my cheek gently, steadying my galloping heartbeat and quieting my power. I mean, that was our first like scene with Xaden. I know. So I forgot how much I love Andana. There's a lot of politics going on. Of course there is. I forgot. How bad is it that I forgot that Violet's mum like sacrificed herself in Iron Flame? And when they were talking, when she was like getting emotional and she's like, oh, I can't think about it. I'm like, think about what? I forgot. For a millisecond, I forgot. But what I think is gonna be really hilarious is, you know how like Iron Flame and Fourth Wing characterized by miscommunication between Xaden and Violet. I'm thinking that in this book, it's not going to be miscommunication. It's going to be Xaden constantly saying, don't come too near me. Like, you know, I'm too dangerous kind of thing. I feel like that's what's going to characterize this book. I'm finding, like, coming back into this series, what do I call it? Not the mythology, I guess. Just, I've lost my words, it's too hot. The myth surrounding Venin, really interesting. And there was this scene, again in the dungeon. I marked it. Did I mark it? Yes. So when Violet comes in, there's, I think, 3 Venin. 3 Venin. 2 women and 1 man. No, it's 2 dark wielders dressed in scribe robes. So Violet focuses on the woman, and on page 19, this is what the book says. Her long silver braid swings free of her hood as her attention whips in our direction, and her eerie red gaze jumps to mine and widens slightly under a faded tattoo on her forehead. My blood chills when a smirk tilts her mouth, distorting the red veins at her temples, and then she disappears. Her long silver braid. It'd be so funny if it's like a long lost sister. Or I saw some theories going around online that Violet's father is actually like the general of the Venin. Whatever his name is. Is there a name for the general of the Venin? I forgot. Who knows? But I just thought I'm making a lot of shit up here, but I just thought the focus on the silver braid was slightly interesting because we know that Violet is known for like the silver in her hair. So that's just my 2 cents. I've stopped at the point where Violet is about to enter into the room of the council, and it's called something. It starts with S. The Scenarium. So General Mulgren's there, as well as the Duchess of Moraine, and I feel as though those people are like they've been highlighted as to being important, but I completely forgot the structure of this country and like the kings and all that sort of business. So I'm literally raw dogging it. Like, it's actually quite fun because the confusion adds to it. I think I'm having a lot of fun with it. So that's where I'm at. And the Venin want Violet, but of course they want Violet because everyone does. But I think there's more to this. But I also just want to know, it's most likely been explained in the other 2 books and I completely forgot about it, but like, why are Venin bad again? You know what I mean? Like, is this propaganda? Or are they actually bad? In quotations. Like, I have to revisit, there's a couple of like videos, just might need to revisit why Venin are considered so bad and so atrocious, and like why channeling from the earth is so bad. Because like, oh, it's bad according to this world, and like the dragons are like, you're not whole anymore now that you've channeled from the earth. It's like, is that true? Or is it just different? You know? interested to see. I want the venom aspect, like I want to know more. So I'm excited. I also want more dragons. I'm interested to see what the fuck this book is about. Okay, I'm gonna read And Die of Heat. I'm watching a really stupid movie as I'm reading. It's called The Beekeeper. It's with Jason Statham. It's really stupid, but I'm enjoying it, I guess. I'm on page 58 of ONYX STORM. I'm really liking it, to be perfectly honest, which I knew I would, but I was scared. It's slightly more political, or is it because I haven't read the other two, but I haven't reread them, sorry, but it feels slightly more political. I'm enjoying the just kind of the behind the scenes of trying to get these two supposedly disparate kind of peoples to work together, to trust each other, but you're talking about literally like centuries of just propaganda either way of making the other the enemy. So that's really fascinating. Xaden is still a hot daddy and I love him. I'm just terrified about everything about him, to be honest. Violet brought up the silverhead venom, but then Riddock, whatever his name is, kind of like was like, oh no, everyone goes grey. And it's like, no, not everyone does to that extent. Well, people go grey, but this is different. I had some cream cheese on like some biscuits and I think you can smell it. But anyway, so that's my update, my page 58 update. I'm enjoying it. I like the politics. Basgaev is now coming back. The professors are back. So Violet talks about how Plan A failed with a Seranium, whatever the council's called. So Plan B might have to take effect, and all she says about Plan B in her mind is that it's treason. So let's get some treason going. I like that a lot. Let's do it. Let's overthrow the government. I think we're all feeling that. We're all feeling that right now. So yeah, I am having the best time reading this book and watching my stupid movie. I'm gonna go read now. Oh my god. So let's talk about ONYX STORM. I'm not finished. I'm not even halfway. Where can I put you so I can talk about this? Let's put you just here. It's gonna be like an awkward angle, but it's fine. Anyway, so I would definitely recommend, oh my god, tandem reading this or immerse reading this with the audiobook, because bitch, I was on the floor metaphorically. It doesn't calm the fuck down. It really doesn't. At no point can you breathe. Like, okay, so I forgot where I left you last, but essentially, in order to get to Deverally, which is one of the isles. So you have the continent, I'm guessing, because I haven't seen a map. You have the continent, right? And then you have what's not on the continent. So they refer to them as isles. And I don't know if it's because it's in an isle or like an island in an, I don't know. Anyway, they call them isles. They're like off the continent. can't speak, off the continent. And once you get off the continent, even like flying, when you pass the continent, all magic like ceases to exist, which is fucking weird, right? And I'm trying to remember if that was answered in the previous books. Like, why is it only focused on land? Or like in an area, it's like the continent is like, has like a bubble, like a dome. I don't know. And I wrote in my notes, I'm like, is the continent's power stolen? Like, has it been taken from somewhere else? Because why? Anyway, I don't know. I just find that weird. Like, if you have magic, you have magic. And crossing the fucking channel shouldn't matter much. But like, even the dragons, their magic is gone. They can't communicate with their riders, except for Violet, of course, because she's Violet. Anyway, in order to get to Deverelli, they needed to get a citrine, Emil, I'm not going to say the full name because I forgot, but a citrine, a gemstone that was housed in Anka, in like a town, and they needed to get that in order to strike a deal with the Viscount Takaris, in order to then talk the king of Deverelli to meet with a Navarre spokesperson, which was the prince. A lot of convoluted things. I forgot why. I think to some sort of alliance. And then, so the quest squad, which is basically, because Endana is a dragon that no one knows like what breed she's from. Endana and Violet and obviously Tan want to find Endana's dragons, like Endana's family. And because Endana is like an incredibly rare dragon, she and Violet were able to basically say to the governing authorities, the Cenarium, like, this is what we want. And this is the people we want in our little squad to embark on this kind of information to find Endana's people, because we think that if we find Endana's, like, where she comes from, we might find more information about how to defeat the Venom. And the Cenarium's like, okay, but they basically said hell no to Violet choosing her own squad. So they basically chose the squad for her, except for like Xaden, because where Violet goes, Xaden goes. Xaden doesn't give a fuck. It basically goes to shit, which I loved, won't lie. So there's this character, Aura, who's a bitch from the beginning. She doesn't want, like, she wants to keep the flyers and the riders like separate. She doesn't want any sort of like interaction with the griffins, and it's like polymer, I can't say these words, and like versus Navarre, and like, you know, they want to be like the separatists and everything. So Aura's a bitch from the start, and then she's brought on this quest because of course she is, and she basically fucks up the entire quest, and she dies a very marvelously gory death by a Wurrung. And I literally laughed. I won't lie, does that make me horrible? When that scene happened, I was like, haha, you deserve it. Like, you know, there you go, period, right? And then a lot of shit happens. And then, and then when they come back to Basgiath, Violet is placed in front of the Cenarium, and she has the most epic scene where she tells them, you are the reason why we fucked up the first time. Like, 2 people didn't have to die, because Aura killed the general, was it general or the captain, who came with them, because Aura thought he was a Venom, because she was so scared and trigger happy. Anyway, she's a bit of an idiot, but Violet, like, the scene where she basically tells the Cenarium to get fucked and that they're going to do it her way was so perfect. It was so cool. I loved that scene so much. But we find some information about Violet's past. She used to date the prince, Halden. And I kind of was expecting something like that because Halden's been reintroduced, and I don't know if he's supposed to be some sort of like romantic interest. I highly doubt it because he's not interesting at all. Maybe he'll get more interesting. I'm like 200 pages in, 214 pages in, like he might get more interesting. But he cheated on her. She walked in on him like in the midst of banging one of his professors. And I feel like we need to find out which professor, because I feel like that might be important. I don't know. Does no one else find that weird? Because it made sure to say that it was a red-headed professor. I don't know. Just thought it was a bit strange. We found out, yeah, that they were a thing. Xaden gets Xaden-y, like a fucking psycho, but we love him for it. What I've been really loving is the character of Theophania? Ooh. Did I just make a Greek for no reason? Theophany. I'm calling her Theophania. Anyway, Theophany. Theophany is the silver-haired Venom. I said from the fucking beginning, didn't I? I did. That the fact that she has silver hair is really important. It's just important. There was kind of like a sort of ambush. Obviously, Violet was in the middle of it, and Theophany said to Violet, I know everything about you. Like, and basically implying, like, if you want to know more things, like, give me a call, you know? And so when they go to, oh, fuck. Like, legitimately, I forgot that I had a meeting with my boss. So we'll just get back to what I was saying. Hi. I forgot what I was saying, but basically, a lot of shit is happening. And, right. So when they went, I just remembered, when they went to Anka to get the citrine for the Viscount in order to eventually go to Deverelli, Theophany left a note where the gemstone was hiding. She's everywhere. I'm loving her. I love the drama that she's bringing. I think she's a queen, let's be honest. And I don't know, there's something about this like random woman who's like in the background like cackling like a little mad woman going, ha 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 ha, I know what you're doing. Because she knows what they're doing. She knew what they were planning on doing. You know, like that's suspicious. That's weird. And y'all heard that, right? The fuck was that? Anyway, so it's like, what does she know? How does she know? And does she know that it's for Violet trying to find a cure for being Venom? Or is it something about her dad? Like, I don't know. I really like Theophany. She's just like in the background, just there. And again, love the drama. Like I think we've established I'm like sort of obsessed with any character, any fictional character with silver hair. So. And then we went to Deverelli finally, and Violet went there because she found a note written by her dad. We find out the dad's name. His name's Asher. He's Lieutenant Colonel Asher Sorengale. And he left a note in a book that was hidden in his desk at Basgai. It's an entire thing. Anyway, Dane came and helped Violet, which I guess is good, but I don't care about him and I hope he dies. So I love how like every character, I'm like, I hope they die. Anyway, in this book, it's like a history of a particular rebellion, and it's important because it's about the Feather Tails, which is the dragons. Then basically Violet figures out that part of the deal between the other, I forgot the country's name, or the province, whatever. kingdom and the Varelli was that they'll get dragons. So they were basically dealing in dragons, like dragon trafficking, right? Oh my God, so bad. Which I think is basically like the sin above all. Like, you just don't do that. I think there's a lot about dragons that we don't know. And I feel as though the Empyrean is going to be important even more so in the next coming books. The letter tells Violet to go to the Isles. So they went. And the letter says, Violet, go to this particular person. Her name is, well, just go and find Narelle, with a last name, but I forgot the last name. They find Narelle. Narelle is this like 92-year-old woman who's like, you must be Ash's girl, Violet, kind of thing. Very mysterious, very, very funny. And it was ridiculous because Narelle's like, you can have the books that your father left here specifically for you, only if you answer these 3 questions. It's like, what's stopping everyone from just like bashing you across the head? I know this sounds horrible, but like, what's stopping you from just going, get the fuck away from me, I'm going to get the books? But the 3 questions were supposedly to show that Violet's most prized possession is her brain, according to her father. And so only if she answered these questions right will she be able to handle the truth of I don't know, some shit like that. I just thought it was ridiculous. But it was a funny scene, I will admit. And then like the 3rd question was Narelle being like, so why did you break up with Halden? You know? I'm like, yes, queen, get the tea. We love that. But again, ridiculous question and there's no real point to it. So she's got like a shitload of, not a shitload, but she's got a few books from her father that was given to Narelle. And I just want to know why Narelle, you know? So that's where I'm up to. Just a lot of things that are happening, and I think a lot of the things that are going to occur in this book are not necessarily going to have a resolution because there's still 2 more books in the series to go. I can't handle this. Also, did I tell you about my theories about Riddick? I think I have. I don't know why, but I'm finding Riddick a little bit suspicious. So in the beginning, and I'll tell you why, I have listened to this. And I'm most likely being paranoid for absolutely no reason. You know when you're expecting a betrayal or you're expecting some sort of event to happen. And so then you start looking at everyone like you're suspicious. That's what's happening with me. But I want to tell you about my theories about Riddick. So Riddick, in the literally like the first couple pages, Violet is riding Tan. I can't say his fucking name. Tan. And they're riding, they're fine. And all of a sudden, a dragon like drops from the top of them. And it's Riddick with his dragon, Atrum? And it's like, oh my God, we're so sorry. It was an accident. Didn't see you, kind of thing. Tan, you know, basically screams at them, especially the dragon. And he was like, no, he should know. He's a fucking dragon. Just because he's young doesn't mean he should be making like these ridiculous mistakes, kind of thing. And I was like, yes, exactly. But I thought that was weird. I mean, it could be an accident, but it was just strange. It was just strange to open up with that because Rebecca Yarros doesn't do anything without meaning, right? And then when the scene where we're introduced to the silver-haired Venom, which we now know as Theophany, I clocked it as strange. Unbeknownst to me, Violet also clocked it as strange. So a couple chapters later, to like the group, she's like, that's silver-haired Venom. Like, the fact that she has silver hair it's weird. And Riddick immediately is like, it's not weird. Everyone goes grey. Anyway, when are we going to get tried for treason? Like, I felt that scene, like he was so quick to dismiss and then pivot the conversation. And again, it could just be a friend being like, don't worry about it. Like, seriously, like we have so much to stress about, like literally being executed for treason. Don't stress about this random Venom. Like, you know, it's all good. But me, I'm like, why couldn't you be like, yeah, it is a bit fucking strange. And we'll most likely figure it out like just validate her concerns, you know, because it is fucking strange. She's the only person with silver hair that you know of. If everyone's going grey, then why is Violet's existence like with the silver hair in fourth wing, like, oh my God, kind of thing, you know? Third, the whole like going on the quest to find Andana's true people, the quest squad, right? So who is going on this quest? Riddick from the beginning was like, I need to be on that quest squad. I need to be on that quest squad. And Violet's like, yeah, like you're one of my choices, but unfortunately it's what the scenario wants. Like my hands are tied, basically. And then when Violet has that epic like confrontation with Cenarium where she basically tells him to get fucked, right before that moment, Riddick kind of has a bit of a tantrum. And it's not written like a tantrum, but it's basically like, no, like I won't let you go by yourself, and then I have to be there with you. And it's more, you know, that he words it like, because every time we're not together, something bad happens. And kind of, you know, alluding to basically the trauma and shit that they've gone through, right? And so Violet's like, yeah, you're right. And like, I want you with me because we're better together kind of thing. And I think it's like, it's supposed to be like this really beautiful, like friendship moment. But I'm sitting here like, no, this sounds suspicious. Watch him be like the best character in this and like not be any sort of traitor, but something doesn't feel right. And he's been practicing his signet, so now he can literally freeze the water in a person's body, which is kind of a cool power. And I'm like, what? But the implication there is, if a water signet can do that, and he says that not many can do that, does that mean that people with a wind signet could technically like steal the wind out of someone's lungs? You know, like the breath, the air that we breathe? Could they technically suffocate? Is this something that has already been said previously and I'm just not remembering? Most likely. But yeah, I'm finding Riddick quite suspicious. I just don't trust anyone because we've all been there with Dane. And I just don't know who to trust. And Violet has been saying like, all I can trust is my sister and Xaden. And it's like, girlie, can you even trust him? Because I'm worried that unbeknownst to Xaden, he is the mole. You know what I mean? Like he's inadvertently sharing through some sort of weird venom bond with the other venom or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like anything can happen and I feel like anything is possible. But I do think that the fact that Violet and Xaden's bond is so strong has to be really important. Because you'd think like the entire thing about Venom is like they channel from the earth. Basically his soul is corrupted. Like that's why like Venom's soul are corrupted. And so like they're not whole and like their dragons can sense it kind of thing. If that was the case, wouldn't the bond be somehow corrupted? But it's not. It's possibly stronger. So there's just a lot that we don't know. And I think there's also a lot that it's very political, like it's politics and it's war. So the truth is grey. It's flexible. It changes depending on who's saying it. It's not capital T. It's like a little T truth. But yeah, so it's been an interesting ride. But what I will say, and this has got nothing to do with like the contents of the book or anything, but with the audiobook, there'll be Xaden will be like whispering, or Violet will just be like, it's just a normal conversation. And then the narrator kind of does it as though like they're screaming. So it's always constantly like the emotions are constantly high. And I'm like, it literally says, you know, so-and-so says softly, and the narrator's like, Violet, come here. It's like, no, that's not what it says. And there's been one instance where the narrator says a word that is not the word on the page. She said helpful and not useful. Because I'm reading along, I see it, and it kind of hurts my brain. It really does. And her like British accent kind of annoys me, because the accent, Kat and Drake have an accent, and Kat's fine, Drake's is a bit weird. The way that the narrator does Xaden's voice is just like, he sounds constipated. Like he's like constantly just like you know when people who do steroids are like red in the face and like really veiny? That's when I hear her speak from Xaden's perspective, that's what I'm imagining for some reason, because like there's so much aggression when she speaks from his perspective. I just think it's funny, and it's honestly really entertaining. So having a lot of fun. That is my very long-winded update on page 214. I'm also taking notes because I'm enjoying taking notes when reading like books in series. I'm gonna go have a shower now because I just had a meeting. I'm gonna have a shower, then I'm gonna sit down in my bed and read. I don't know if I'm gonna tandem read because I'm enjoying the entertainment of the audiobook, or just kind of like listen to something while I'm reading without the narrator in my head screaming. We shall see. Actually, I did stop at a sex scene, so I'm most likely just gonna read that because it was really uncomfortable to listen to, or like the sexual tension. I'm like, ugh. When it's not in my head and the words are being said out loud, it's so cringe. It's like, can we stop? You know, oh my god, I don't know if you've seen these memes, like these videos going around. So you know the movie 365 Days. I forgot the actor's name, Michelle, but he plays this like really alpha male like mafia dude, and he's constantly like licking his lips and like making like aggressive body language poses and stuff. That's literally what Xaden in my head. And it's so fucking funny. If I can find a video, I will insert it here. But if I don't, I'm sorry. You just have to think about it. But like you can search for it yourself. It just reminds me a little bit of Xaden. Like that, you know? That was embarrassing, sorry. But like it's slightly cringy. But I love Daddy Xaden. But I am worried, not really worried, but there was an excerpt in one of the beginning of the chapters, I don't know which one, that basically was a note from Xaden to Violet saying like, if you're reading this, I've gone, please understand why I had to leave. And I feel as though that might be the ending, because that would be, like, Rebecca Yarros likes a cliffhanger. So I'm wondering if that's something along those lines, where like Xaden has decided to leave for like the betterment of everyone, and just like to protect Violet because he's getting more venom or something. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what happens. There's been also twice now, Narelle mentioned Fen Riorson, which is Xaden's dad, because she said, oh, you're Fen Riorson's son. And the way that the narrator said it was like kind of like excited. It was strange. And then in an excerpt, it was a letter from Fen to like an unidentified person. And I'm like, okay, so we've mentioned Fen Riorson twice in like a really close together. And I'm like, I'm wondering if Violet's dad and Fen knew each other. Like, I don't know. They most likely knew of each other, but I'm wondering if there's more to that friendship or rivalry or something. It's an interesting theory. I feel like there's just so many theories, and sometimes I want my brain to turn off so I can just read, but I'm just thinking about things. You know, that's what we do. I'm gonna go now because I really need to shower, but I will most likely update you when I've made a bit more progress in this. A couple of friends of mine are most likely going to finish it tonight. I am not finishing it tonight. I don't want to rush it because if I rush it, I will forget. And I don't want to forget because I want to be able to talk about it if needed. And I'm taking notes, so it's a bit of a slow process for me. But I'm having a really good time, everyone. Like a really, really good time. Okay. Excuse me for looking tired. I had to mow the nature strips outside and I'm allergic to grass, so it always affects me. Anyway, hi friends. It is reading time. I've been obviously oh my god, could I put this here or is it going to go karatumba? I don't think it's gonna stay. Just start. Okay. It's ONYX STORM. I'm nearly finished. So can we just talk about a few things? I mean, we all were theorizing that Xaden's mum was going to show up, right? We all were expecting it. But did anyone else find that entire section when Xaden sees his mum for the first time and she sees him and everything that happens with the triumvirate is really, 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 really weird? Because as it stands now, what was the point? What was the point of it? It was such a random section. Obviously the point was to get the allyship and stuff or whatever, but very strange. Almost to the point that if you take that entire section out, would it affect the book? I don't know. I just thought that was so strange the way it just happened and then it's done and we don't talk about it ever again. It was weird. So weird. We now know that Violet is a dream walker. So it's a type of intrinsic, which I think a lot of us expected. But I think it's more than that. So, sorry, I'm just pulling together my thoughts. There's been a few nightmares that Violet's been privy to in regards to Xaden. And it's always basically the same thing. But I don't think it's a nightmare. I think it's the Venom sage in real time, maybe dream walking himself. And it's you need to bring her to us. You need to bring her to us. But in this dream, Violet is there, she realizes what's happening and then she becomes herself in the dream. And the Venom dude acknowledges her and says, oh, welcome, Lightning Wilder. And then still says to Xaden, bring her to us. And it's who's the her that you're referring to? Right now, we just found out that Mira has been taken by Theophany. The Irid did come and help. I think his name was Lionel? I forgot his name. He came, fired the ward stone, went to Andana and was I've been watching you, this is a bad angle, but I've been watching you, blah, blah, blah. I felt bad, basically, that you were judged. You don't know our ways. Come with me. You will learn our ways. Basically saying the rest of the Irids will get over it because I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission, kind of thing. And Andana obviously desperately wants to go and learn about her dragons. But in order to do that, she had to break the bond with Violet. But Violet can still dream walk. And she's which is interesting. And what else? Why do that now? Why organize Andana to leave with the Irid now? That could be at the end of the book. A lot of shit's happening right now. So Tyrrendor is safe. The wardstone is fired. The shields are up. But Mira has been taken. So they're trying to figure out what the fuck to do. I was going to say something else, but I don't quite remember. Oh, according to the Irid, there's no cure for the venom. But I just find that to be I don't know, I just find the whole venom thing to be kind of annoying because it's why are venom venoning? What's the point? They have to have an overarching point. Okay, so you want to drain the magic of everything. And then when everything's drained, then what? Like, what's the point? You're going to drain everything and then eventually go to the aisles and drain the aisle. And then what? Go to space? Like, what are you doing? That's most likely been answered in the previous 2 books. But, like, that's even more central, right, to my thought processes right now reading this. It's like, and doing what? What's the point of all this? But we do kind of find out that for some reason that we don't know yet, Violet's dad made the decision to dedicate Violet to the god Dune. That's why Violet has the silver in her hair. But the dedication wasn't complete because, according to the priestess, Violet had so many potential paths in terms of her life that she had to choose from. And kind of she needs to make the choice of whether or not she wants to, I don't know, dedicate her life to Dune or Dun. But I think the reason why the dad did it was to fix her. There was an excerpt by Violet's mum who was like something about, I'll never forgive him for ruining. Oh yeah. So on page 440, Journal of Captain Lilith Sorrengail. Asha returned today. Gods help us if anyone finds out, because I'm pretty sure dedicating your child to a god was like outlawed. I'm not sure I'll ever forgive him for what he's done to her. But it wasn't technically, like, it was done, but it wasn't 100% completed. It was like 95% done. So is it just the dedication that she's talking about there? Or is it something more? Like, has he done something to her? And I know there's a lot of theories about how people think that Violet's dad, like, Violet has kind of venom blood in her or some sort of like dragon blood. There's like been 2 camps of theories. I just think it's interesting. I need to when I take notes of all the pages that I've dog-eared, I need to reread that section and just reread what Mira says, because Mira is the one that found everything out. And part of like the path that the priestess was talking about was basically that the one that has her heart or something will turn venom. And then Mira was like, obviously Mira interpreted that as Violet turning venom, but obviously that's not it. And then Xaden says to both Brennan and Mira that, she said, the heart that beat for you or within you would do the wrong thing for the right reason, reach for the unspeakable power and turn dark. And then Brennan's like, within her or for her? And Mira's like, isn't that the same thing? Obviously it's not, like, babe. But yeah. So things are happening, but I don't think we necessarily get like a proper answer. And then the venom show up, so we don't really get to have a proper conversation about it. So that's the update. How is it going to end? I still think it's going to end with Xaden leaving. I will say though, Rebecca Yarros obviously thoroughly loves writing her books. Good on you, girl. Because I love reading them. But every time Xaden and Violet have a moment, he says the most ridiculous things. Like, I understand it's supposed to be really sexy and like really romantic, but dude, you've done it like 5 million times. I laugh. I live for you. You are the breath that I breathe and all this kind of stuff. Which, like, go off, King. I love that for you. I love that for me, right? Because Daddy's Aiden, obviously. But when it happens so often, I'm just like, okay, and okay, can we move on, please? You know? But that's just because I am quite a picky bitch. But anyway, I've got not even 100 pages to go. So I'm going to finish this today. and I'm very excited and also terrified because it's going to end on a cliffhanger. Like, we know this from experience. It's so fun. These books are so fun. I'm so happy that I'm reading this, you know? Okay, I'll get back to you soon. So it's been a few days since I finished it, and I wanted to take the few days just to sit with it, but also I went on a weekend trip to Phillip Island with a few friends of mine for the purpose of like talking about this book. So I just wanted to listen to their theories and their reactions and then come and talk to you. I loved it. Let's just like, okay. Overall, I loved it. I loved it quite a lot. I think this is tighter, as Hannah said. It is tighter. It feels as though more time has been spent in editing it, in just making sure the story is punchy and fast-paced and interesting in comparison to Iron Flame. I loved it so much. I think it just grabbed me immediately because you immediately are in the deep end. I mean, look at all these doggies. It was fantastic. I loved Violet in this, which I know is really surprising because she annoyed the shit out of me in books 1 and 2, but this one, character growth. That's what we like to see. We want to see character growth. And I feel like she's a bit more aware of herself in this, and a little bit of her flaws, in the sense of like, you know, she would repeatedly say, it's okay, Violet, like people deserve to have their own secrets too, kind of thing, like just reminding herself, which is character growth. She wasn't sooking about it. Xaden in this is just on the sidelines, just really like going through it. And I kind of liked that. I did. Like Xaden, I felt as though Xaden wasn't really a part of the story as much, but at the same time he was. It's because he was really going through it. Like, that poor darling. The poor man. I feel so bad for him. I really liked it, but I have a few things that I want to say. I don't know where I left off in my last clip because it's been a few days. But I'm going to talk about kind of the last section. So there is the war with the venom, obviously. And the last bit where, oh, let me just turn that on, where we're kind of like, it's like the main battle, so to speak. I felt it was like slightly anticlimactic. So, but in like, not in a bad way, just like, I'm like, I feel as though Rebecca Yarros is going to utterly decimate our emotions in the next book, because this felt like a very safe book. It felt like the third book. No one important really dies. There's no major betrayals, well, that are unveiled. It's more just like action stuff. We're furthering the plot. Book 4 is going to decimate our lives. I think that's funny. I do. I think Rebecca Yarros did that on purpose. I think it's funny. It's going to be fun to read book 4 and just be like, okay, so is everyone dying? Anyway, let's just talk about, okay. So Andana leaves with the Irids because the Irids do eventually come and help. But it was a very strange scene. The Irids are a bit of a strange species of dragons. They're like passive, non-violent, which is great, but like there are bigger things at play here. Hello. They do come and Dana leaves. And so, which is fine. However, then she comes back like super quickly in the middle of battle, and I didn't like it. I'm going to say that. I didn't like how random it felt that Andana came back. Like, she needed to leave for a longer period of time. Like, why? And that entire scene was just so unsatisfying. It's like, oh, she's there. Why? And like, how did she fly all by her little lonesome? I don't know. It was just a very strange scene that I would have preferred happened in the next book, because it would have been a much longer time period. Like, it was only, what, a few weeks? Maybe a month or so, maybe 2 months. It wasn't very long. And the way that she left, it was implied that it was going to be for a while, but it wasn't, and that annoyed me. The epic battle scene between Theophany and Violet. Theophany just like dies. Obviously Violet kills her, but it's like, you've been talking so much smack the entire book, and like Theophany is symbolizing like the villain in this book for Violet, right? Like Violet for some reason has been targeted by Theophany, and we do know it's because of her powers, and Theophany was the, I think, Violet's mum, and like her storm powers was in response to the existence of Theophany as the venom. But it was just so weird and stupid, because Theophany is like this bad bitch, super intelligent, like basically knows every step that Violet is taking, and then at the end, when they're having their major battle, she just dies. And like Violet, like, it was a good battle scene, but then when she stabbed Theophany, I was like, oh, that's it? Like, what was the purpose of her character? I honestly thought Theophany was going to be like this big bad kind of in the background for the rest of the series sort of thing, as part of like, I don't know, Violet more developing into her powers and kind of being able to finally, you know, succeed in defeating Theophany. I thought that's where it was going, but then she just dies. And I was like, that battle scene could have been so much different. Like, so much different? Does that even make sense? I don't know. I just thought it was a bit anticlimactic again. But at the same time, it was fun. So I kind of get it. Like, Violet was really in her bad bitch era, which we love. The ending I predicted. Did I say on camera? I did say my prediction for the end is Xaden leaves. I was right. And it was really funny, and all of us were talking about this on the weekend. So in the physical copy, in the paperback, I'll show you. So, right, this is the last page. And the way it ends, you just assume that there's another page, but there's no pages. So we all flipped the page expecting there to be more, but that was the end page. Whoever like formatted it, type cut, whatever it's called, they played us. It was pretty brilliant, because all of us were like, it was great. But he did leave. And I will say, the point at which Xaden decides that he channels again and becomes like a full venom annoyed me. I'm sorry to say. Well, not really annoyed me. I just was sitting there like, I feel as though you didn't have to do that. So he channeled from the earth because he was being surrounded by venom, and he channels, and then like his shadows cover most of the battleground and kills off like most of the venom, all of the venom. Well, sorry, I was playing with the cord with my feet. And it's like, babe, did you have to? Could you not have used your shadows just to defeat the venom that were around you? Because you're already quite a powerful shadow wielder. Like, he is a bad bitch as well. One of the best, as we're constantly told. And I don't know. I was like, I don't think you needed to channel, but he channeled. Because of course he did. And he's now left. But so when Violet wakes up at the end, she's very confused, understandably, because we find out that Imogen has taken her memories because she's now married to Xaden, which makes her, what, the Duchess of Tyrrendor? Or the Queen? I don't know how the titles work, but if Xaden is Duke of Tyrrendor, that means that she's a Duchess, right? Anyway, so now she's a Duchess of Tyrrendor, and she doesn't remember getting married, doesn't remember anything. But then at the end, the last line was Imogen saying, "It's what you asked me to do." So obviously there's been a conversation about this as kind of like a plan B that we weren't privy to because the memories were taken, which is fine. I don't mind that. I think that really sets up Violet and just like the storyline of the next book to be super interesting, because she's going to be basically kind of in charge of Tyrrendor. I don't know, it's fascinating, and I think I like that movement for the next book. I think the next book is going to be absolutely batshit insane. I don't know when we're going to get the next book, because I'm pretty sure Rebecca Yarros is burnt the fuck out, which understandable. I mean, she's just been like plowing through books and like releasing books, and I understand that she needed like a bit of a break from the Empyrean series. That's why she's like released, I think like one or two, I think it was one like just romance book, which I get. And honestly, I would prefer the next book to take longer. Like, I'm happy with that because it just means that we get a more tighter, more edited book, because Iron Flame was not edited as well as it could have been. I think because they were just trying to push it out as quick as possible, which was like the worst thing that they could ever do. I feel like Fourth Wing is quite similar as well. I think Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in terms of writing quality are very similar, which I've said multiple times. I think ONYX STORM, there is definitely a development in terms of her writing. It's not for everyone. I think it's really fun, really engaging to read, so there's that. But again, it's not for everyone. Don't come at me. Now, I want to talk about the ending as well, when Xaden says like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he did this, he chose to be Venom," in regards to someone else. Now, when I read that, I was just like, oh my god, it's Riddoch. Because as you know, I've been really suspicious of Riddoch the entire book, but I think that's because I'm just seeing things that aren't really there. But there's a really good theory that was proposed by Hannah that I really enjoy. So Hannah's theory is that that person who like chose to be Venom is Bodhi. And Bodhi as in like Xaden's brother, stepbrother, whatever, sibling. And I think that's really interesting because Hannah said it makes sense as to why Xaden got married, and like Xaden and Violet got married and made sure that Violet was in power, because if Violet wasn't the Duchess and like didn't become the Duchess, then it would be Bodhi who would be in charge of Tyrrendor as the next in line. And if Bodhi is Venom but no one else knows, that's a problem. And then I think Hannah also said like Bodhi is kind of not around in the last section of the book, so it kind of makes sense that it would be Bodhi. And I think that's a really great thing. I really do. I think that would make it super interesting. Sorry, my dog is barking. I think that would be really, really interesting. And it makes sense as to why Xaden and Violet got married, especially if it was to ensure that Bodhi wasn't in power. But who knows, right? Who knows? And I will say also, Eric, in Fourth Wing, Danny, another friend of mine, she underlined in Fourth Wing, I'm pretty sure it was Fourth Wing, someone, was it Riddoch? It was someone who said something about precog, and it basically being like super rare or whatever. And she actually wrote in her annotation, like, this is definitely going to come up in the series. And she was right. So Arik is precog. We don't know like how far into the future he sees, but he definitely sees enough. And he didn't tell anyone in this book. I was annoyed. I'm like, just communicate, because everyone is keeping secrets. But at the same time, he is like the prince, right, of Navarro. So it would make sense that he would hold that really close to him. But he basically knew everything. It was so funny. Arik's scenes were all incredibly funny. I don't know, I just loved it. He was like in the background just being like, yeah, I speak this language, like you don't. At one point he actually says, yeah, I speak that language, but everyone wanted Dane to come and Dane's purpose was to speak this language. I felt bad. And it's like, that is such an incredible, that was so good. And Danny also mentioned, like, why would Violet choose Holden if Arik was, or Cam was right there? Valid, Danny. I agree. Because Arik is adorable. I love him. Holden is a fuckwit. Holden is like the actual next in line to the throne. He's like the oldest prince. And he was atrocious. But we find out, I think I said this, Holden and Violet were a thing. But yeah, this was a fantastic book. I think that's going to be my last update. Yeah, my last update. This is 5 stars. It was so much fun. I read this so quickly because I was just sucked in. I was sucked in. Oh, I just got an email. Oh, emails now give me anxiety, unfortunately. But yes, ONYX STORM, thank you so much for watching this very random reading vlog. I had the best time reading it. I had the best time chatting about it on the weekend with the girls. It was just so much fun. It was so much fun. These are the books, like these books, you have to read with other people. It makes the entire experience so fucking fun. Because you're just like screaming at each other like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what do you think? What do you think? And like all the theories and like people making connections that you wouldn't have seen. It's just really fun. So, oh, another theory that was proposed, I think by Jackie. I'm pretty sure Jackie said it. Jackie was talking about how, because we were talking about Violet's power, and then we were discussing kind of like lightning, blah, blah, blah. And Jackie said, I think like like Violet's signet or Violet's power is actually just power itself, like just pure energy, and the way that she can wield it at the moment is through lightning. I really like that. I think that's amazing. I like that idea. I think that would make sense. Violet can do different things that other people can't. Like when they were on the Isles with like there was no access to magic, she was still able to communicate with her dragons when everyone else couldn't. It would kind of make sense if she was just like pure power. I don't know. Or is that more to do with the dragons? I don't know, but some fishy things are going on. But I like the idea that Violet is just pure energy, pure power, and that she herself can actually create storms and shit. We will see what happens in the future. We also found out slightly that her second signet was dream walking. We also think, and by we I mean the girls, we also think that it's not just dream walking. We think it's something we think it's a bit more than that. So again, it'll be really interesting to see how that works in the future. Also, at the end with Sloane, we think Sloane is going to be quite key in being able to heal the venom. And maybe also Dane, because Dane, when Sloane like used Dane as a sort of like power bank, she's like, oh, you have too much power, like no one should have this much power. Why? And I'm thinking that there are some signets that might have to come in pairs, sort of similar to how Xaden is a shadow wielder and Violet is a lightning wielder, so to speak. And the last time these two signets existed together was in the Great War in the book. I think there are other signets that also exist in pairs, and like you aren't able to like fully develop your signet and your powers unless you also have access to the other person in the pair. So I think Sloane and Dane might be a pair. Like, if he has so much power, why? Is it because maybe he's supposed to be this sort of pool of power that Sloane can access to do, like, to siphon and do things with? I don't know. We shall see. But I had a lot of fun. I can't wait for the next one, but at the same time I can wait because that means more editing. I love this series. It is so fun. It is so fun. It's amazing and fun and action-packed. Something always happens on every page and it's a good time. Anyway, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching me rant about this book. I hope you had a lot of fun, and I will see you next week. Bye, friends.